So, next question, why do we have so many different priorities? We have our priorities due here. These would have been copied from the meeting notes template. Then we have priorities here, and we have priorities here. Why is that? Well, just like with the VFR, when you have your quarterly goals that you work with, and then you break those goals down into more usable chunks in the monthly goals, this is exactly what we're doing with this. So you get your larger assignments at each meeting for the next meeting, but you still have several days in between those meetings. And the responsible thing to do with your priorities is to break them down into more manageable day-by-day sort of chunks. And so that's what I've done here. We have our priorities for the day in priority order. Sometimes those are going to match up fairly clearly with the priorities up here. Sometimes you're going to add things. You're going to pull things from phone calls. You're going to pull things from, obviously, the meeting notes. That's where these original priorities were from. And you're going to also go up to the top and you're going to look at your VFR and see what needs to be done. And you're going to add those to your daily goals. Okay? So these are directly from the meeting notes. All of those are directly from the meeting notes, but the day-by-day priorities will have some other things added in. So you can break those up immediately after the meeting, day by day. That's a good way to do it. Another thing you can do is you can, if you work more, in a more detailed way, you can break them up every morning. So when you wake up, sit down, do your priorities for the day, and then start the log. Okay? So let's go back over that one more time. We have our VFRs, our vital few results. Those are the most important part of your SOW because it keeps your mind on those results that are desired, that are vital to the company. You have miscellaneous future actions. Those are things that have not been assigned yet but need to be. Next actions priorities due by meeting. This is the basic structure of your SOW, meeting to meeting. Sometimes that's going to be one meeting for you, sometimes it's going to be two. And then underneath those priorities due by meeting, you're going to have the log that goes along with it. Every day you're going to have priorities, log, since the last meeting. Here's our example. Next actions priorities due. Monday we have priorities, log, priorities, log. And then also next to the log, we have the hours that you have worked. I'm going to show you how I normally keep my SOW. This is a practical little tidbit that should be able to help you. When I get up in the morning and I start work, whatever is the start of your day for you, for some of you I know that's later, some of you it's earlier. What I do is I immediately open up my SOW. I go down to underneath the meeting that I'm working with. I see my priorities, kind of read through them. I break up my priorities day by day, so I'll just say, and then the date, and I'll start, typing out what I need to do. This is first thing in the morning. Then, after I've typed my priorities, I start typing my log. This should be very detailed. Okay, the first thing I do every morning is check email. Now this little C stands for communication. That's one of my main jobs. It will normally not fall in the priorities that are up here, so I've made a little code letter for that. I have two code letters. I have C, which is for communication, a normal job that I always have, and I also have B for break. Okay, those are two little log codes that I keep. Most of the time, what you should be doing is you should be entering in one of these priorities from your meeting. Okay, they should match up those numbers. So let's say communication was the first thing. So first thing I get up in the morning, let's say I started at 7 o'clock to 7:10, and I check email, right back to Lisa regarding vision statement. I'm being very detailed. This is what you should be doing because you don't want to just say write emails, because then you can't look back at your log and say, oh, I was actually dealing with a very present problem that is one of my priorities. You can't see, and your supervisor can't see how you're using your time. Now let's say the next thing that I do is I edit the SOW video, okay? And I spend, let's say I spend from 7:10 all the way to 12:05, something like that, okay? That's on my priority 2, okay? Then after I have a break, let's say lunch. I don't have to say exactly what I'm doing then. It doesn't matter. If you have the little B for break, then just say time in, time out, 12:05 to 1 o'clock, let's say. Okay, and then I start work again, keeping the log in a very detailed fashion. Now this should be in blue, which brings us back to another one more thing that we need to talk about in the SOW is the colors. This is not just for your reference, but it's also for your supervisors. It actually saves a lot of time for your supervisor. When you enter things in to the SOW, they should be in blue. That should be the default color on your SOW is blue. That means that this is something that's current. It's something that's being dealt with currently. And as you finish something, it will be gradually changed to black. So let's say that as I go through these priorities, I finish them. So as I finish them, I change them to black. That means that I'm totally done, no questions, no problems, they're just done. Completion. Black is the color of completion. Blue is the color of currency, so it's there. It's waiting to be dealt with, or it is currently being dealt with. Now, when you have a problem, you're going to put that problem in red. Any sort of problem. Is this a question that you have for someone? Has this been stalled by a supervisor? Is this not going to be done on time? Those sorts of things. You put those in red. That way, when your supervisor is scanning your SOW, they can very quickly page down and see what they need to deal with. Edit text list with quotes. Something was wrong there. They need to ask what was wrong. So at your SOW meeting, things can go much more quickly because as you can see in this log, and also in these priorities up here, there's only one thing that has to be dealt with. We don't even need to talk about the rest. So one thing that has to be dealt with. And that's good for you too because it can keep your eyes on those vital few results and what you're doing to complete them.